Hello there, Tacaro speaking. Today I'd like to bring you guys my review for Berry Berry Berry, which is a first-person 3D incremental game with some puzzle elements and a bit of creepypasta energy. The game originally released on PC on Steam and possibly other digital storefronts on January 29th, 2026, although recently, on August 20th, 2026, the game received a bunch of console ports as well. The game was developed by Get Color Games and co-published with Black Lantern Collective. Now, I'm going to give a quick overview of the game first here before getting into spoiler territories. The game is very discovery and puzzle/secret focused, so just be forewarned. I would recommend just going into it blind if you feel like you already have any interest in the game. But if you're interested in learning a little bit more, here we go. Again, I'll warn you when we get to larger spoilers, but we'll start with just a general overview. So the gameplay structure is as follows. You're set up in what appears to be a garden, and you feed berries to an ever-growing hole that gives you coins in return that you collect and use to purchase upgrades and new tools. The game features something of a day-night cycle. During the day is when most of the gameplay happens. You'll be having berries grow, you'll be collecting them and feeding the hole. And then when time runs out and it turns to night, you can take some time to collect any coins you may have missed, and then go to sleep to purchase upgrades and start a new day. I played the game on PC, and performance was flawless, although my PC is fairly beefy. I also played the game on Steam Deck, and it ran incredibly well there too, even later game, during which the game ends up having a lot of physics-based objects, so that was pleasantly surprising. The game also controls well with mouse and keyboard and controller setups, so I think this console release is definitely something you should look into if you prefer to play games on a couch or on the go with a handheld. Now, because of the nature of the game, that's pretty much all I can talk about without getting into some light spoilers. So if you are at all interested, here's where I would say check out. Just know that I enjoyed the game quite a bit, and I would recommend you check it out if what I've told you thus far intrigues you at all. Now, on to spoiler territory. I'm going to spoil some gameplay elements and give you a very light overview of the story setup, but we won't be going into major story spoilers, so there you go. That's the disclaimer. Now, as I mentioned, it seems like you're in a garden, and essentially what you'll quickly come to discover is that you're on what appears to be the set of a defunct children's TV show, and the game has a light story that's told via these collectible cassette tapes, which essentially are audio logs. And as you collect those, you can work your way towards one of multiple endings. There are actually 4 in total. I won't go into specifics, but they are fun to discover and experience. Along with the story stuff, there are also puzzles hidden throughout the game. Completion of these is needed for at least one of the endings. The puzzles themselves are light logic/math-based puzzles and or English-based puzzles, although those can be turned off in the settings, which is very nice for those of us who may not have English as our native language. The puzzles themselves are not incredibly difficult, but a lot of the difficulty comes from determining exactly what the rules and the goals of any given puzzle are. And they were, in my experience, pretty fun to figure out. Very few of them felt too vague to figure out, although some of them I had to kind of ruminate on over multiple cycles of the game. But overall, I'd say the puzzle pieces are pretty interesting and enjoyable to experience. Now, that's all I'll really say about the story, so we're going to move on to the gameplay now. As I mentioned before, it's kind of a physics-based berry collection game. It starts off having you manually picking up berries grown by a single plant, which you then toss into a static non-moving hole. However, there are a variety of upgrades that you can accumulate over the course of your playthrough, and we're going to get into those in a second, but I'm going to cover the topics, the high-level topics that those upgrades cover. Upgrades will include things like adding berry buddies, which are little guys that walk around and grow additional berries for you to feed to the hole. You'll also get access to new tools via these upgrades, additional passive and active abilities, multiplier/number upgrades that you'd see normally in an incremental game. These aren't a big focus in this one though, which I actually personally appreciate quite a bit. And you can also do something called rewind, which is essentially the game's reset button, which gives you a permanent buff but resets the majority of your progress. I'm going to go into each of those different categories a little bit more in depth now, starting with berry buddies. Again, they're little ambulatory berries that grow additional berries that you can feed to the hole in the pots that they carry around on their heads. They are upgradable via one of the tools that you will unlock, which I'll get to in a second when we talk about tools. On the tool side of things, you have stuff like a vacuum, which lets you suck up and then shoot out multiple berries at once, and you can also do a charged air blast to knock stuff around. And things like a sledgehammer, which lets you knock down walls. There are a number of other tools in addition to this, but again, I'm going to limit how much I talk about those here just to not give up the game for those that haven't played yet. But that gives you a taste of what those do. On the ability side of things, talk about passive first. You can get stuff like auto collection of nearby coins that have dropped. I typically went for that pretty quickly because it can get kind of annoying holding down the collect button and running around for the coins. You can also get something called a floating safety bubble, which lets you float around over the hole, or if you accidentally fall into the hole, it sometimes can save you from essentially ending your day by doing such. And then you have stuff like star generation, which is the game's second kind of currency outside of the coins, which, once unlocked, allows you to upgrade your berry buddies permanently using a star wand tool that is also something you unlock. And that's all I'm going to say on the passive side of things. On the active ability side, there are only two that you unlock. The first is called Blitz, which increases berry growth speed for a short duration. And the second is called Fountain, which assists you with collecting berries and also increases the hole size. Now, onto the number/incremental upgrades section. This is what you'd expect. You get things like higher chance to spawn golden fruits, which are golden variants of the regular fruits, which you can sell to the hole for more than they would normally go for. Things like shorter active ability cooldown upgrades are also there, as well as things like stronger tools. Stuff like upgrading the vacuum increases its carrying capacity. You get the idea. The last thing I'm going to cover here is the rewind mechanic, which works as you would probably expect. It resets the garden, your upgrades, and your money, but you keep your berry buddies, and they stay at the level that they're at when you reset. It keeps all your banked star currency, which again is used to upgrade your berry buddies, and it gives you a stacking permanent plus 25% berry growth speed buff. This is very important to do a number of times in order to see the later game content, although you can do it, I think, indefinitely. Again, it's something where you kind of want to do it to the point where you're making progress at a pace that suits you. But there you go. That's a taste of what Berry 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 has in store for you. I personally very much enjoyed the game. It was a lot of fun going for the different endings. I'm relatively close to 100%ing the game, and it's something that I'll probably boot up and try to achieve, just because it's such a cozy thing to be doing. Other things I think I should note are it's got a very quirky, absurdist feel to it, which I think is rather unique for this genre. And it also differentiates itself by being a little bit more active than most incremental games are, and active in a way that is engaging. It doesn't feel incredibly grinding, or at least it didn't to me at any given point. And I think those are kind of two of its standout strengths, aside with just its general interesting aesthetic and well thought out upgrade structures. So yeah, there you go. Thank you again to the publishers for providing me a key. If you guys are interested, definitely check the game out either on PC or on any of the consoles that's been released on. I think it's pretty much been released on all of the modern major consoles at this point, as of the 20th of August. And let me know what you guys think of Berry 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 down in the comments. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this. I'm aiming to do more reviews for games, ideally set up in a way where you're getting more objective information as to how games function, along with obviously a bit of my personal thoughts, but I am looking to educate you guys on exactly how a game works that you might be interested in playing. rather than just going purely off of my own personal vibes. So if you like what's going on, stick around. Appreciate you all. Have a great day.